information centre in the first few years the Richings were in business. So can you see any other reason at all, apart from the phone problem, why the Richings would have had less business than other guest houses?
I can see no reason at all. It's a beautiful place. You've always felt welcome there. The atmosphere is lovely.
Telstra concedes there were problems for the first couple of years, but the Richings say those problems simply never went away.
The lack of an adequate telephone system in every year of operation has starved the business of cash flow, and that has contributed to the problems.
David Grove is the Richings accountant.
I think Telstra have a lot to answer for.
In the early years of the service, there was a number of intermittent faults and difficulties which I have acknowledged and which Telstra has acknowledged to the Richings.
Steve Black from Telstra's complaints unit. The company expects to post a profit in excess of $1.8 billion this year, but its own documents reveal, in this instance at least, it couldn't even get a simple telephone service right. How were they left out of the directory in the first place?
It was a mistake, and
a pretty big mistake for someone setting up a new business, isn't it?
Quite clearly it was a mistake, and as a result of that mistake, as I mentioned before, we have already in fact made a compensatory payment to Mr. Richings.
But now the Richings are demanding full compensation for loss of business, which they say put them into debt with the bank.
Well, what Telstra has accepted is that Mr. Richings is entitled to put forward a claim, and we will assess that claim.
But the Richings claim has been rejected by Telstra.
On our assessment of the faults and the likely effects on the business, the amounts we're talking about are nowhere near those amounts.
They've had plenty of time. We've had really 4.5 years to sort this out, and they still haven't sorted it out. They go home from their job and that's it. If another problem comes up tomorrow, they don't give a stuff. Well, it's too late to save the business now.
Twice.
Nick and Madeline need over $750,000 to clear their debt. The auction result is yet another blow.
$685,000 twice. Third and final call. Gone forevermore, or finished or done. Sir, congratulations, sold to you, commiseration to our 100.
Nick, 685, where does this leave you?
For nothing.
The Richings now have 6 weeks to move out. They're bitter, but not defeated.
All the extra costs that they've incurred and all the rest of it, just nothing.
So what do you do now?
I don't know. We just go telecom now because we've got nothing to lose now. They've just got all this to pay for. 27 years of marriage now. We've got nothing to show for it except for a house full of furniture. No roof over our heads.
What is it going to take, though, to get telecom to that point and solve the problem? I believe it'll take a full Senate inquiry.
Last Thursday, on the second last day of Parliament, Senator Ron Boswell called on the government to set up an independent inquiry into the behaviour of Telstra.
I move that the Senate calls on the Minister for Communication and the Arts to establish an independent inquiry into the behaviour of Telstra in respect of the resultant cost to COT members of the extensive, prolonged and excessively legalistic arbitration process.
The motion was passed with the support of the Democrats and the Greens, and a victorious Senator Boswell told the Small Business Show that the opposition and independents will be watching closely to ensure the government acts promptly.
No organisation in this country is bigger than the people and the Parliament that serves the people.
Last week we alerted you to the bitter row that's threatening to split the small business community's key lobby group, the Small Business Coalition. Anger boiled over when some members voiced their support for the government's proposed changes to the Trade Practices Act. This has outraged the Victorian Employers Chamber of Commerce and Industry, or VECI, who have proposed excluding some organisations from the current Small Business Coalition. With me now from Canberra is Rob Bastian, president of one of the organisations VECI has in its sights, the Council of Small Business Organisations of Australia. Mr. Bastian, it sounds like VECI does have you in the sights. It sounds like you're one of the ones they'd like to see out.
I'm not reading it that way. I was a little cross when the letter went out, and I think it's caused a bit of concern amongst the representative bodies but there is some good news. We've had some discussions with Ian Spicer and other members of the coalition, and without any doubt there's going to be a meeting next week to probably look at some of the issues raised by Becky.
Well, the letter is worded quite strongly. It says, it talks about some members have engaged in public
Telstra is Australia's biggest and most powerful company. It's plugged into almost every home and business in the country. And it's still owned by all of us. Just. The federal government now wants to sell off the public's remaining half share and use the windfall to pay off debt. But it has to get over the hurdle of a vote in the Senate. And that hurdle is about to get a lot higher. In our cover story, we're going to reveal serious allegations against Telstra, claims the company has systematically misled the courts and Parliament and even bugged its own customers. It's a scandal that's now embroiled even the Minister for Communications, Richard Alston. The casualties of Telstra is reported by Graham Davis.
Are you feeling yourself? Put your hands up in the air now. Are you feeling yourself? Put your hands up in the air.
At the Commercial Radio Awards in Melbourne, two stars of the communications firmament bask in each other's glow, both playing stellar roles in the proposed sell-off of Telstra.